Welcome to the virtual back-to-school night for Voorhees High School. I'm Mrs. Mason, and I'll be your student's teacher for Latin, Finlit, or if they're very lucky, both. As our new learning environment shows, this year is different, but different doesn't need to be worse. Yes, the internet can crash, or a sibling can interrupt a lesson, but students are taking more ownership of their learning, and teachers are getting creative. This year, we will all, virtual or hybrid, have class on Meets each day. Please note the times. Here is the rolling schedule if we ever move back to that. Students are all already on Google Classroom, which they can use for due dates in all of their classes. However, this year I'm relying more on Google Sites to organize materials and showcase work. Here is my Meet the Teacher Hub, where you can connect to any of the different classes. You can also, should you care, read more about me. See my ungrateful children. And at the bottom are both the full day and the half day schedules, so you can keep track of when your child should be meeting for class. The parent site has syllabi for all 4 classes. Most of them are really similar, and they contain a meeting time, grading information, textbook and content, Aspen codes, websites that I use, the class structure. This would probably be a good time to mention that unless your students didn't already tell you, this year, unless schools open fully back up, I am going to be virtual regardless, because I have those 2 lovely little children at home that I need to take care of. So regardless of when and if we go back this year, I will be virtual unless we are totally opened up. Here's the syllabus for Latin 2. You can see that it's very similar to the one for Latin 1. This is the syllabus for Latin 3 and 4. I'm not really going over each of these right now because you can find all the information online. At the end of this video, I'll be doing about 60 seconds of giving an overview of each of the different classes. And last but not least, the syllabus for financial literacy. Please note that there are 2 different blocks for this class. There's 2 different meeting times and 2 different meeting days. Also click on an agenda, which will connect you to each of the different classes, where you can see what they're going to be doing that day, as well as if there's any homework. Each class has its own website for the students. You'll again see the agenda. Here you can connect to any of the other classes, or the Latin Club, or the Fun Latin Extras. A reminder of what our classroom looks like. Hopefully we'll see it again. The syllabus. Here is the Ecce Romani text that we'll be using. Students went home with a book, but it's always good to have a backup. Some cultural elements from the book. The Quizlet is embedded with both flashcards and matching activities that are current for this week. It also has a Latin to English and English to Latin dictionary that's specific for each level. There's National Latin Exam practice. Syllabus for this level of the National Latin Exam. Some general practice. Magistrula is going to be a big one that we're going to be using this year for extra credit points. Duolingo, the Ecce Romani flash games, verb games, different ed puzzles that I've made for grammar and culture and history. And lastly, absolutely everybody's favorite, the grammar. From this table of contents, students can connect each chapter with preview videos, Lagonium illustrations, my notes along with Ecce Romani practice, class practice, and a spot for questions. Here is a digital copy of the laminated handout that hopefully most students have gotten. This one-page handout will cover all of the grammar that students, this one for Latin 1, would be responsible for learning throughout the entire year, and it would be a good thing to always have in front of them during class so they have it for quick reference. Going back to the website, I also divided the grammar up to the different categories, so all the different noun information that we have throughout the year, adjectives and adverbs, pronouns, and the biggie, verbs. Another item that you can access through the Parent Hub are the weekly updates. I'm making these in order to better connect parents to what we're doing in class. Usually they're going to contain examples of student work and what we're doing in class, but for now it's my messy office and kids' snarky comments. Lastly, on the parent site is the Class Dojo information. Class Dojo is how I'm keeping track of participation points. Here you can see how to earn and lose points. You can also click to connect as a parent to any of the different classes. To go over the specifics of each of my 4 classes. I'll start with FinLit so that those parents can cut out of this video 3 minutes early. My focus for FinLit is in what will most impact students in the next decade. The stock market and life insurance are valuable topics, but we have finite time, especially this year. Covered elements are finding a good college fit, interviewing for a job, creating a high school resume, using online banking, understanding deductions from your paycheck, contrasting credit versus debit, and preventing identity theft. The major focus, though, is on budgeting, and that's mostly where Dave Ramsey will fit in. After selecting a career, students will build an adult life on a budget with a My Life at 24 project. Here are some examples from last year. As you can see, different percentages are assigned to the different categories of spending. Then there are pie charts for budgeted spending, actual spending, and lastly, the difference. All elements are taken into account, from finding an apartment, to a car, to grocery shopping, and finally, students make a summative Padlet. In terms of how classes will run, we will meet as a whole class on Meet and do a live lesson or activity. This could vary from 10 to 30 minutes. For the remainder, students will either complete a classwork assignment due at the end of class or work on a group project in breakout rooms. As FinLit is a class which combines students of varying academic level, some may finish early and others may need the whole time or more. Faster workers will have enrichment activities they can choose to complete afterwards. FinLit parents, that's all for you. On to Latin. Welcome to what I hope is the start of 4 years together. In Latin 1, students will be learning basic Latin through family stories. They focus on family life, travel, slavery, and finally reaching the city of Rome itself. In terms of history, we'll be focusing on the mythical founding of Rome, which started with the Trojan War, and continue through the expulsion of the last king in 509. We'll also be learning about the Olympian deities and the myths surrounding them. In terms of what we'll actually do in class, this is for both Latin 1 and Latin 2. Kia games to practice grammar, vocabulary, and translation. Illustrated stories on Pear Deck. Composition activities on Google Forms. Chunked class translations. Ed puzzles to introduce grammar. Quizlet vocabulary practice. Gym kits to prepare for the National Latin exam. And lastly, digital breakout rooms as summative assessments. Latin 1 parents, that's all for you. On to Latin 2. Welcome back to the second year of Latin. For most of the year, we will be using Ecce Romani. If we manage to get to the end of the book, this will cover the vast majority of Latin grammar. However, that's definitely not necessary. I want to move at a pace where students are challenged but not left confused. In this book, the family is in Rome. Stories are on education, city living, feast, entertainment, wedding, and a funeral. The historical focus is on the Roman Republic. The activities we do are the same as what will be done in Latin 1. Before we get back to Ecce, though, I will do a full review of Latin 1 throughout the first marking period. I recognize that the spring was not ideal for learning, so I think students could use it. My plan is to review a grammatical concept a day, starting at the very beginning with parts of speech. Since the class all really likes mythology, I selected a variety of myths written at a novice level as our translation practice. Latin 2 parents, that's all for you. Good night. In my opinion, Latin 3 and 4 is when it gets good. Marcus and Sextus stories are great, but I prefer caddy, slam poetry, and druids. This is our prose year. Both Latin 3 and Latin 4 are doing the same classwork and reading all year. We'll start with what will be a massive grammar review for AP, theoretically, and new material for a level 3. The text are the myths of Hercules and Jason, which are both great reads. The differentiation will come in the homework. 3 honors will be creating a massive Hercules Padlet. You can check it out by clicking that link in the first marking period. The AP ladies will be starting the review of Virgil through Albert, Edpuzzle, and AP Classroom. In January, both classes are going to come fully together in order to read Caesar's account of the Gallic Wars. As far as what we're actually doing in the first semester, the biggest thing is just reading Latin together. I chunked out the Hercules text so we can move fairly quickly. Each day will also cover some exciting grammar and alternate between vocabulary, grammar, and reading comprehension and translation skills.
Salve, freshmen and sophomores. I'm Jill, and on behalf of the upperclassmen, welcome to Latin class. You're going to have a blast this year. Mrs. Mason always has a ton of fun things planned for us. If you want to have even more fun, you should join Latin Club. The other officers and I have planned a bunch of epic events, including... Take it away, Sonia.
Cupcake decorating. Our very own Olympics. And many other Roman activities, to mention the myths and crafts. Celebrations.
Participation points.
So if that hasn't convinced you yet, 4 years of a club is going to look great for college applications. So if you're interested in spending a ton of time with your friends, having a lot of fun, boosting your college apps, and learning a little something on the way, then come and join Latin Club. If you wish to join, you can email or talk to Miss Mason or any of us 3 officers.